So up until now, you've been using just the root text. Yes?
Yes, we've just been using it.
Maybe that's enough. So you can...
What is that?
Very good. Okay. So we finished the introduction, the general introduction to Dhamma, the specific introduction to Mahayana Dhamma, and also this particular text. So where we are in the text now, we're on chapter 4, which is Conscientiousness. So first, let's just look on page 25. Okay, so now we have a little bit of work to do, okay? Yesterday was all introduction. The first part before the cake was all kind of introduction part 2. So now we gotta get through some pages, okay? So you try your best, I'll try my best, okay? So I'm on just page 25. We're actually not on page 25, but I'm just gonna, let's just look at the first stanza of chapter 4, okay? Conscientiousness. So remember, this text, the first chapter was benefits of Bodhicitta. And then basically, I mean, they call it what? Disclosure of evil, disclosure of wrongdoing, right? And then the third is full acceptance of the awakening mind. So after the first chapter, which talks about Bodhicitta, remember, engaging in the Bodhisattva deeds. What makes one a Bodhisattva is the presence of Bodhicitta, right? So first talking about all the benefits of Bodhicitta, the divisions of Bodhicitta, and then, you know, when you see the great benefit of having this mind of Bodhicitta, one exerts effort into achieving it. Then, chapters 2 and 3 is basically taking the Bodhisattva vows, right? So, in order to take the Bodhisattva vows, one does what's called the 7 Ling prayer, prostrating, making offerings, confessing our negativities, rejoicing in virtue, requesting that the Buddhas remain, requesting that they teach, and dedicating our merit for full enlightenment. So that's what these next 2 chapters are, 2 and 3, right? So now, chapter 4, right, first stanza. Having firmly seized the awakening mind bodhicitta, right? Awakening bodhi, mind, chitta. Yeah, Janju Disen. Then conquers children means a bodhisattva. The conqueror is a Buddha, their children means a bodhisattva, right? So just like the child of a king is later going to become the king because he's in the lineage, these conqueror children, yeah, bodhisattvas, they're not conquerors yet, but later they will become conquerors, means fully enlightened Buddhas. Okay? So, having firmly seized the awakening mind in this way means in the past 2 chapters, talking about the adoption of the Bodhisattva vows, then, remember, we were saying, it's not enough to have just the mind, oh, I wish to become enlightened for the benefit of all sentient beings. They must never waver. Conquered children must never waver. Always, they should exert themselves to never stray from their practice. Right? Because the attainment of enlightenment means to accumulate the causes for enlightenment, which means to practice. Right? To actually actively engage in accumulating the causes that lead to the attainment of enlightenment. Okay? Alright. So that's, in brief, what conscientiousness, the title of this chapter, is. Right? It's to view the mind, consider what we're doing, right? Consider our body, our speech, our mind, and then never to waver from the practices. Okay? Alright. So actually we're on what? Stanza 31 or 33? 33. 33. Okay. So that's on page 30. See, just to put it into context, okay? To put it into context, starting from stanza 28, is talking about the faults, the drawbacks of the afflictive emotions. Okay? So first, you know, just to let's just review a little bit, starting from 28. I'll just go through those stanzas, right? Although enemies such as hatred and craving have neither arms nor legs, and are neither courageous nor wise, how have I, like a slave, been used by them? For while they dwell in my mind, at their pleasure they cause me harm, yet I patiently endure them without any anger, but this is an appropriate and shameful time for patience. Should even all the gods and demigods rise up against me as my enemies, they could not lead nor place me into the roaring fires of deepest hell. Yet the mighty foe, these disturbing conceptions, in a moment can cast me amidst those flames, which when met will cause not even the ashes of the king of mountains to remain. Although other enemies are incapable of remaining for such a length of time, as can my disturbing conceptions, the enduring enemy has neither beginning nor end. If I agreeably honor and entrust myself to others, they will bring me benefit and happiness. But if I entrust myself to these disturbing conceptions, in the future they will bring only misery and harm. Okay? So, you know, we were talking from our own side, all of our suffering is coming from these afflictive emotions. Okay? So, because, well, a couple things. One is, when we have the affliction in our mind, when we have the afflictions in our mind, they then impel us to create negative karma. These negative karmic imprints then ripen as undesirable consequences. Right? So when we look into the this concept of cause and effect in a deeper manner, right? We see that, you know, as it says in stanza 30, right? Even all the gods and demigods, right? Should even all the gods and demigods rise up against me as enemies, right? What could they do? They could kill you, right? But even if you die, even if you're killed, that's it, right? You go away from this life, but the consequences of that is limited to that. You depart from this life. Okay? But these enemies, the gods and demigods, others, they could not lead nor place me in the roaring fires of deepest hell. Right? How does then one get reborn in hell? How does one go to the hells? Taking an uncontrolled rebirth, and at the time of our death, one of these negative karmas that we've accumulated then ripens, and then that projects us. Remember I was showing these flowers, throws us into our next life. Right? So what is that from? That's from the disturbing conceptions. With the disturbing conceptions, the afflictive emotions, we then engage in negative actions. And those negative actions have the potency, have the power to throw us into the fires of hell. Okay? So, yeah. See, there's this thought, right? Shantideva is making this statement. in general, like patience, we should be patient with our enemies. It means not get angry at them, right? When we're harmed, then to not get angry, practice patience and accept the suffering. But what Shantideva is saying, in relation to the enemy of the afflictive emotions, he's saying, this is not the time for patience. Means, we shouldn't say, oh yeah, it's okay that we, get angry or we, do it like this or like that. Right? It's deeply not okay. Right? Of course, in a temporary level, we shouldn't beat ourselves up, right? So it's not like, when we're still training on the path, we make mistakes a lot. And so rather than, beating ourselves up where we think, oh, I'm so impure, I'm such a, bad practitioner, I'm so, I'm such a bad monk, I'm such a, I'm hopeless, right? Which can then lead us to then abandoning our practice, right? Remember, in the future, when we get to that chapter on enthusiastic perseverance, right? Enthusiastic effort that we need to make for our practice, there's 3 types of, they call it laziness, that prevent us from practicing in a good way. There's a laziness of procrastination, putting off our practice. There's a laziness of attachment to inferior deeds. Means, instead of doing our practice, we're so attached to, watching cricket matches or Netflix, whatever, right? That we devote all our time doing that and not to our practice. And the 3rd type of laziness is the laziness of self-contempt, right? Where we think, oh, I'm so bad, I'll never attain enlightenment, and therefore we don't practice, right? Thinking, oh, there's no point anyway, right? So, yeah. Okay. Yeah. If I agreeably honor and entrust myself to others, they'll bring me benefit and happiness, but if I entrust myself to these disturbing conceptions, in the future, they'll bring only misery and harm. While in psychic existence, how can I be joyful and unafraid if in my heart I readily prepare a place for this incessant enemy of long duration, the sole cause for the increase of all that harms me? Okay. Yeah. I mean, the point is here, right? Instead of putting, what's that? Ale, page 30, stanza 34. Okay. All right. So remember. So the point in this phase of the text, right, it's to encourage us to strive and make effort in our practice of controlling and abandoning the afflictions by seeing the faults of the afflictions, seeing how they're the actual enemy, and rather than blaming some kind of external enemy, right? And how shall I ever have happiness? Stanza 35. And how shall I ever have happiness if, in a net of attachment within my mind, there dwell the gardens of the prison of settled existence, these disturbing conceptions that become my butchers and tormentors in hell? Yeah? So basically, I think Shantideva mentions this in another context. But, someone who we see this in a lot of movies here in India. They used to play the movie on the bus from Mysore to Bangalore. They don't anymore. I don't know, maybe because everyone's just looking at their phone. But you know, I didn't like it because you're forced then to watch. So anyway, you're sitting there. But I don't know if this is just the movies they played on the bus or if it's all the movies. But so many of the plots revolve around revenge. Yeah? Right? At the beginning of the movie something happens, right? And then the rest of the movie is the hero, right? The hero. Plotting and then taking revenge. And sorry, but this is not just Indian movies too, but even many movies. This is like one of the big plot themes, right? I'm just saying this because the movies played on the bus, which I was forced to watch, it's always this, So, then it's like, that hero. It's kind of like, can't rest, It's like until they get revenge on the person that harmed me and then maybe all his family and all these other things, then they don't rest, They don't go on vacation, So Shantideva is saying basically like this, right? Seeing the real enemy as the afflictions, we shouldn't rest until we've finished our real work of uprooting and abandoning the afflictions. Because until that's the case, until we abandon the afflictions, how shall I ever have happiness if in a net of attachment within our mind there dwell the guardians of the prison of psychic existence, these disturbing conceptions that become my butchers and tormentors in hell? Therefore, as long as this enemy is not slain with certainty before my very eyes, I shall never give up exerting myself toward that end. Right? Having become angry at someone who caused only slight and short-lived harm, self-important people will not sleep until their enemy is overcome. So maybe Shantideva, he watched these same movies. What do you think? Right? So you guys, you know, okay? Alright. So now, more kind of war analogies. If, while engaged in a violent battle, the vigorous desire to conquer those whole disturbing conceptions will naturally, the vigorous desire to conquer those whole disturbing conceptions will naturally bring them suffering and death. Men disregard the pain of being pierced by spears and arrows and will not withdraw until the day is won. Is this correct? Whole? Seems like a wrong word there. It's a bit strange, right?
Yeah.
Whole. Huh? The vigorous desire to conquer those, maybe while. Okay? Whose? Ale. Oh yeah, whose? Good. I'm on 37. Right? That's the typo, right? If one engaged in a violent battle, the vigorous desire to conquer those whose disturbing conceptions will naturally bring them suffering and death. I think so. Whose? Yeah. Interesting. Who's the editor of this? Right? You understand? Okay. So, remember, someone in a war, this is what he's saying, right? Someone engaged in a violent battle, right? The vigorous, okay, I desire to conquer those, then my enemy, anyway, my enemy has disturbing conceptions that will naturally bring them suffering and death. right? So it's like, you know, what's the point of this battle? Because, you know, it's just, if I don't do anything, then anyway, the enemy who's harmed me, they have disturbing conceptions. They're naturally going to suffer so much of death, right? That's the situation. Yet nonetheless, right, the person wanting revenge goes into battle and will continue to fight, right? They'll disregard the pain of being pierced by spears and arrows and won't give up until the day is won. Right? Alright. Then, what need to mention that I should not be faint-hearted and slothful? Even if I am caused many hundreds of sufferings, when I now strive to definitely overcome my natural enemies, these disturbing conceptions, which are the constant source of my misery. Understand? Okay? Okay, so anyway, it's very nice. Shantideva, he does this many times in this text. You know, we look in the world and we see this kind of behavior among worldly people, right? And so, right, the people in war, right? There's some outside enemy, and anyway, that enemy's going to die naturally, even if you don't do anything. But instead of being content with that, one goes into battle, even though you're, you know, pierced by spears and swords and arrows, you continue to fight, right? Okay. And what's the point? Right? As Shantideva says in another thing, ordinary heroes or warriors, they're slaying. Actually, they're only slaying corpses, because these people, everyone, they're going to die anyway, right? Okay. But even engage in that, how much effort do they put in? How much suffering are they willing to undertake? Right? Even they're pierced by an arrow, you know, break it off and continue in battle, right? Because they think, oh, this is so important. This is what I have to do, right? So even if worldly people do that, then us, who are in the battle against the afflictions, no need to mention that we should put even more effort than, you know, one of these warriors, right? Even if scars inflicted by meaningless enemies are worn upon the body like ornaments, then why is suffering a cause of harm to me while impeccably striving to fulfill the great purpose? Right? So, let's continue. If fishermen, hunters, and farmers, thinking merely of their own livelihood, endure the sufferings of heat and cold, why am I not patient for the sake of the world's joy? Yeah? So, here again, right? Undertaking the path, I mean, in one way, in some way of thinking, is difficult. It's difficult. But you see, like anything that is meaningful, we have to exert effort, right? If it were easy, well, we can't be enlightened already, right? But when we see, although it's difficult, when we see the great benefit, we are willing to undertake the hardship, right? So here, in the world, hunters, farmers, fishermen, and so forth, right? They are just trying to get some profit, some livelihood. Yet, what do? You know? They endure sufferings of heat and cold, right? What? To get the day's wage, right? So now, why am I not patient for the sake of the world's joy? Our Dharma practice that we're undertaking with the mind of Bodhicitta is going to lead to, well, the enlightenment of all sentient beings. Because we're going to strive and we're going to achieve enlightenment ourselves, and then we're going to, believe it or not, then liberate all other sentient beings from their suffering as well. Right? So, you know, some time ago, I never was a fisherman, hunter, or farmer, but even think like, you know, in university, or whatever, when I was working, you know, some days I work 100 hours in a week, you know, stay up till like 3, even some days working all night, because we had a presentation for the client the next morning, you know, you guys do this? Yeah, and then what? Right? For some salary, yeah, some promotion, yeah. You see, it's difficult, but we did it, right? We did it, you know. So, what's the level of exertion that we put into our practice? You know? You know? Shameful, actually. When you really think about it, you know? Dalai Lama often tells this story, right? He travels a lot, and then once, I think he was in Germany or something, right? But anyway, in a city. And then, he looked out his hotel room, and he sees like, some flashing lights, in a room across the way. So there's like, maybe some dance party, right? So he goes to bed at, 11. Let's just say, I forget what, 10, 11. So he goes to bed, he's tired, he sees the flashing lights on. Then he gets up at like, 3 to do his practice. He looks across, he still sees the flashing lights, right? Right? The all-night rave or whatever, the dance party. So he felt like, oh wow, these people, they're exerting so much effort, right? For what? For the dance party, for some, small benefit. And he himself, he kind of jokes, right? He's like, wow, I was feeling so tired, that I couldn't continue my practice. I had to sleep for those 4 hours. They just went through dancing the whole time, right? Practice of Nungne, which you guys do, right? Nungne. It's a great practice. You've done it in Brahmi? Then, one day you eat one meal. And then the next day, you don't eat anything. You don't drink anything. But you do your practice. Now, I hear some people, right? Oh, the Nungne is coming up. Oh, no, I can't do it. No, I'm not going to do it. Why not? Oh, I can't go one day without eating. Right? Do you know anyone who talks like that? Right? Now, you see, there's in the Buddhist cosmology, the six realms of samsara, right? Our friends, the hungry ghosts, right? Hungry ghosts, preta. They go without food, without drink, for 10,000 years, 100,000 years, years, hello, years, I'm not saying days, okay? Right. And they have no choice, okay? No one will choose that. So, you see, yes, that's what I'm saying. They're not choosing. So, see, those of you, right, willingly choose to endure these hardships for sentient beings, you know, how much benefit there is. You, by the way, who have in your mental continuum countless imprints that will project you into a Preta realm rebirth. You see, I'm reminded by one of my very favorite stories of Lama's Rinpoche. Whom I hope you all meet very soon. Oh, he used to be there. The picture used to be there. No, I know. But it's a creature of habit. Yeah. Actually, his omniscient mind is everywhere. Yeah, you can give me the tour later, okay?
Sorry?
You can give me the tour of the new layout later, okay? So long as a Rinpoche, right? In Kopan Monastery, where he still teaches every November. You know, gets on the throne, right? Gets on the teaching throne, the seat, goes into meditation. Quite long meditation, right? People are waiting with bated breath. That's nice. Poetic. You can use that. Bated breath. B-A-T-E-D. Not like clickbait, not that kind of bait. Waiting with bated breath. Then he starts his teaching. If you knew where you're going to be reborn, you wouldn't sleep. I love it. You understand? It was just the last time, I'm sorry, I kind of repeat myself, but you know, this one is worth repeating. You know? Remember, Run Card, I'm not sure you were here, but anyway, I had asked to the audience some time ago, when talking about this story, what they thought it meant. When Rinpoche says, if you knew where you're going to be reborn in your next life, you wouldn't sleep. Two potential interpretations. One is, you know you're going to be reborn in the hell realms, or as a hungry ghost. Then you would be so afraid, terrified of the suffering you're going to experience, that you would be too terrified to sleep. Therefore you wouldn't sleep. One interpretation. Other interpretation. Based on that fear, right? Based on not wanting to experience that suffering, you would exert so much effort into purifying your negative karma that you would willingly forego sleep so you could complete your purification practice. I like the second interpretation. But you see, I mean, it's like this, right? When we have some kind of illness or, you know, an illness, then we very willingly endure some kind of medical treatment, right? Going into surgery, getting whatever, eating unpleasant medicine, changing our diet that we don't, eat pickle anymore or whatever, right? We do all these things. Now, when it comes to Dharma practice, right? What are we willing to forego? What hardship are we able to bear? Not just for ourselves, but for all sentient beings. That's the question. That's the question we need to ask ourselves. Of course, in this context, it's also very nice, very educational to read the Jataka tales, the previous life stories of Buddha, right? Where you see everything he did so he could attain enlightenment. For us, see, he attained enlightenment for us, and therefore what did he do? Right? Gave away his own body parts, gave away his blood, endured all sorts of hardships, all that, right? So it's informative, one, inspirational, but also informative, just to say like, okay, yes. If we want the same result of enlightenment, right? Don't you think we have to put in the same effort? Or what? I want to achieve the same result as Buddha. But the Buddha cutting off the body parts and, sacrificing his life for the tiger. That was unnecessary. Right? Buddha, you made a mistake. You don't have to do all that stuff. You can just relax. Watch Netflix. And still get the same result? Huh? No way. So anyway, I'm just saying, I'm not saying everyone must do anything, blah, blah, blah. I'm saying, when it comes time for practice or for whatever opportunity, be aware of this, oh no, I can't do that, oh no, and the excuses we tell ourselves, and then just check. When it comes to our worldly pursuits, if we use that same level, right? And then, of course, right? This is the whole point, right? A little bit earlier in this chapter, it's talking about the need to do this is because, by the way, we have the precious human rebirth, which is found just once. It's very meaningful and it's difficult to find again. Right? So, in our next life, when we are reborn as a preta, we're not going to eat for 10,000 years, but there's no choice. Therefore, there's no merit. You know, right? There's no merit. I mean, the pretas just have to. That's what it is. You know. Now we have the opportunity to go one day without food, and the merit, the benefit, it's unbelievable. You know. So then, to make the most of our opportunities when they come, you know, that's the whole point. You know. Of course, the big picture is this opportunity of the precious human rebirth. But on a smaller level, you know, every time we see a teaching announcement, every time we see a retreat happening, every time we see, you know, something happening here, okay, that's one. But then, on a more fundamental level, every time we're at home, we have some free time, right? What decision do we make? You know? Log into this or log into that, right? Watch this or watch that. You know, if only I could follow my own advice. Anyway, you guys understand, right? So actually, I'm going to finish this chapter, and then, then I'm going to go watch Netflix. This I like. When I promise to liberate all beings who dwell in 10 directions as far as the ends of space from their disturbing conceptions, I myself was not yet free from mine. Thus, unaware of even my own capacity, was it not somewhat crazy to have spoken like that? Yet, as this is so, I must never withdraw from vanquishing my disturbing conceptions. Okay? So now, this is for those of you who've taken Bodhisattva vows. Right? Taking Bodhisattva vows? Yes. Some of you, I hope you're taking Bodhisattva vows morning and night. Yeah? In the Bodhisattva vows, we saw it actually in this, right? All Buddhas and Bodhisattvas dwelling in the 10 directions, please pay attention to me. Just as all the Buddhas of the past have generated the mind of enlightenment and then successively, you know, engaged in the Bodhisattva practice, so I too, for the benefit of all sentient beings, will generate the mind of Bodhicitta and, you know, train myself successively in Bodhisattva practices. Right? We say that. Someone will say that 6 times a day. Right? What are we doing? All Buddhas and Bodhisattvas of the 10 directions. You know the 10 directions? It means the entire universe. The Buddhas have omniscient consciousness. When we say all Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, they hear us, they know. And then we invite all of them and we say, hey, just so all of you have generated Bodhicitta and trained, I'm going to do just like that. We make this promise to them. Right? Okay. Yet, when we made that promise, we ourselves were not free from our own afflictions. And therefore, Shantideva said, wow, was it not somewhat crazy to have spoken like that? Somewhat crazy, yes. But, you know, I like somewhat crazy. Remember, there's the crazy from the world, and then there's the crazy from the Buddha standpoint, right? So this one, somewhat crazy. But what he's saying is, nonetheless, even if it were crazy for us to make that promise to all the Buddhas, we made a promise to all the Buddhas. So then you make a promise to the Buddha, and you'll be like, okay, hey guys, wait a minute. Remember when I said that? Can I take it back? Can I, No. We made a promise, we made a commitment to all the Buddhas of the 10 directions, and therefore, we never shrink back from it. Okay? So then, instead of shrinking back from our commitment that we made, what's the other possibility? We redouble our efforts to train along the path. Right? Therefore, we must never withdraw from vanquishing our disturbing emotions. And to do this will be my sole obsession. Holding a strong grudge, I shall meet them in battle. Yet disturbing conceptions such as these destroy... Yet disturbing conceptions such as these destroy disturbing conceptions, and for the time being are not to be abandoned. So we need to look at the translation. Interesting. In the other translation it says, one should hold on to it and meet them in war with a vengeance. Afflictions with such an appearance are destroyers of afflictions, nothing else. So anyway, I think what it's referring to, right, you know, this thought of vengeance, this thought of like wishing to gain revenge, wishing to destroy, in general that's an affliction, right, wanting to destroy. But in this context, the wish to destroy our afflictions is not an affliction, but it's something actually to be cultivated. It's something to be, adopted on the path. Okay. Right? For the time being, are not to be abandoned. It would be better for me to be burned, to have my head cut off and killed, rather than ever bowing down to those ever-present disturbing conceptions. So this reminds me of there's a stanza in, I think, the monastic discipline text, where it says, you know, like, you know, someone who has vows, right? It would be much better for them to die than to break the vows, to break their morality. Why? You know, if we die, we die. We're going to die anyway. But if we break our vows, if we degenerate from our morality, we're creating the causes to be reborn in hells or, you know, the lower realms for a long time. And then, you know, if we combine that with what Shantideva was talking about, once we're reborn in the lower realms, once it's very difficult to practice virtue there, then since there's only, you know, no virtue and all non-virtue, then we get caught in the lower realms. Again and again and again. It's so hard to get out. Right? So, you know, there's stories of this. When China invaded Tibet. Yeah. There's stories of that. The Chinese then wanted the monks to break their vows at gunpoint, and some would be shot. Common enemies, when expelled from one country, simply retire and settle down in another. Though when their strength is recovered, they then return. However, the way of this enemy, my disturbing conceptions, is not similar in this respect. Right? Deluded, disturbing conceptions, when forsaken by the eye of wisdom and dispelled from my mind, where will you go? Where will you dwell? In order to injure me again later. Weak-minded, I have been reduced to making no effort. Okay? So what this means is, remember, when we abandon the afflictions, we abandon them along with their seeds. Seeds means the potential for them to arise again and are meant to continue. Right? So the people who attain nirvana, right, that's what I said. Dharma practice is one-time work. One-time work means once you've abandoned the afflictions along with their seeds, it's impossible for them to return. Therefore, you only have to do it once. Whereas everything else within samsara, you have to do over and over again. You know? Earning a livelihood, eating, finding a partner, all those things. It's done over and over and over and over and over again, and still not enough. You know? Yeah, okay, so I'll humor you. You see, the continuity of the mind has no beginning, has no end. Okay? So our mind is going to continue for the next, you count however many eons, right? Let's just count the next 3 eons. Okay? The next 3 eons. Okay? There's 2 people. Both their minds are going to continue. Right? Then, what's the difference? One practices Dhamma. One says, nah. You know? One follows Dharma, one follows samsara. It's the same. Then, one has the hardship of practicing Dharma, right? One has the hardship of samsara, right? Getting a job, pulling all-nighters, you know? Whatever. Getting stuck in traffic. Okay? Also all the same. But the one who practices Dharma attains liberation and maybe attains enlightenment. Finished. Bas. Hello. Then relax. And the one who doesn't, still. So, you know, there's a kind of nice story. There was one Tibetan master. Okay, so there's a famous statue, the Choe statue in Lhasa. that was supposedly blessed by Buddha himself, and now it's in Lhasa. So there was a Tibetan master, I think it was Bylakuppe, not sure. Was he Buddhist? Anyway, this one master. He goes to the statue. He goes to the temple, sees the statue, and says, "Oh, okay, Buddha. Many eons ago, we were the same, right? We were the same. But you practice Dharma. You traversed the path. You became enlightened. I just kept following samsara. And so now, you're an object of worship, homage, praise, in relation, compared to me. And therefore you bow down. You understand? So, you can see, all of us here, right? Yes, one day we'll all be enlightened, fine. But you remember this day, right? We'll see, many lifetimes from now, some of us will be enlightened and others won't yet be enlightened. And those other ones, maybe we'll go visit, the equivalent of the Choe statue. And we'll say, yes, I remember, we were in that class, Choe Ling. Yes, it was Ralph's birthday. We all ate cake together. And then, you followed what Shantideva was talking about, you practiced, you became enlightened, and I didn't. Put that into practice, and therefore I'm still here in samsara. And then, we can do that. You understand? If these disturbing conceptions do not exist within the objects, the sense organs, between the two, nor elsewhere, then where do they exist, and how do they harm the world? They are like an illusion. Thus I should dispel the fear within my heart, and strive resolutely for wisdom. For no real reason, why should I suffer so much in hell? Just getting a little bit into ultimate nature, right? See, ultimately these disturbing conceptions do not exist inherently within our minds. Therefore they can be abandoned. Right? Therefore, having thought about this well, I should try to put these precepts into practice just as they have been explained. If the doctor's instructions are ignored, how will the patient in need of a cure be healed by the medicine? This medical analogy is very good to think about. Remember, there's 6 ways of engaging with the teaching. You yourself as a patient, you the Buddha as a doctor, you the Dharma as a medicine, you repeated effort in putting the teachings into practice as the way to get healed. Right? So also this, also in the King of Concentration Sutra, it makes a similar point that after we've received these, the medicine of Dharma from our teacher, the skilled doctor, the Buddha, then it's up to us to put it into practice. And if we don't put it into practice, then I think Shantideva says also in here, right? Just like if you get a prescription and you just read the prescription, right? Or you read the medicine bottle, right? Or you take the medicine and you put it like on your altar and pour straight to it, but you never take it. How are you going to get better? Right? So this honesty always makes a little bit of a little bit of a joke, but it's true. You see, always when you go to a Tibetan kind of monastery or temple altar, you'll see on the top actually is the Dharma texts. The Dharma texts are held higher than Buddha. You understand? Why? Because it's the Dharma that's the real thing that's going to liberate you from suffering. If it was just up to Buddha, we'd all be enlightened already. But the Buddha, all he can do, right, like a doctor, give you the medicine, then it's up to you to take it. So the Dalai Lama often jokes, even here, right? You see all that? All those orange. What is that? That's all of the sutras and all of the Indian commentaries. Over 300 volumes. Okay? So in most Tibetan temples or wherever, they'll have. But have those ever been read? Huh? Have they ever even been unwrapped? They're wrapped in cloth, right? So, here it's like that. Sometimes in the huge Tibetan monasteries, it'll be like 20 meters up, you'll see some text. They've never even been pulled down. So the Dalai Lama jokes and says, these texts, it's not just you put on your altar and then, kind of prostrate. Or if you guys have been to Dharamsala, right? In the Dalai Lama's temple, they have on the two sides, right? Have you seen? Right? In the center is the Buddha statue. In front is where his Holiness throne is, right? So then, if you go around, on this side is the blue lampshade and the Avalokiteshvara. You know what I'm talking about, right? Then right after that is the cabinet full of all the texts. And then on the other side, cabinet. So often you'll see the Tibetans, not even just Tibetans. You put your head against the glass. Right? Then, I don't know, you think that somehow the energy is going to come in the text and I'm going to get realization. Right? That's what we think. Yes. And it's good to respect. But this is what the Dalai Lama is saying. What's the real way to respect the text? We don't do this, right? Yes. Okay, it's good. So do that. But what about here's it. This okay. What about this one? That's the real nice one, Right? Okay. I quite benefited from this session. I don't know about you guys. You know? I was saying to Ralph earlier today, you know, we just started debate again at the monastery last week. And we probably hadn't debated really since December, you know? Because after in December, at the end of December, I was Holiness talking with Gaia, it was great, you know, came back for exams, okay. After the exams, I went on retreat, okay, good. Then after that, I went to more teaching with the Dalai Lama, okay. Then we had another retreat, okay. You know? So it's been months. 3 months. More than 3 months. You know? Yeah. Since we debated. Of course, those other activities, going to teaching, going to retreat, you know. I taught a few places. It's good. But this one. Now it's time for this one. Opening the text. Engaging in the studies. So you can in a minute. So for me, that came a little bit strong in this session. So I got benefit. I'm not sure if you got benefit, but I got benefit. Okay?
Theravada people debate too. Theravada, should they have debates? Or is it a debate?
Aban, so I will respect that. I think there's some others who wanted to ask questions, so I'm going to get to you, but just so you don't jump the queue, which is one of my pet peeves. Is first, Svashini, I think you had a question. So you can ask. Anyway, sorry, my kind of closing statement was just, that's what that's what feeling came in my heart today. And I also don't think I'm going to sleep tonight. Not from a Netflix binge, but yes, Sebastian.
I have great respect for what has been said. I mean, the whole question of reading the medicine, regarding the doctor, and me following it. Conduct-wise, it's excellent. And if you practice it, it's just conduct. But how do we know about these realms? And what do they say? And that's wrong. I don't understand why we should be threatened or made so. Even in the Catholics, we talk about sin and by the way. The Buddhists are saying the same thing. Only the realms and whatnot. I think we're just reading as important for their physical and psychological happiness and those around them in this samsara, in this lifetime.
Yep.
I agree, the compromises, even when you think of other lifetimes, why not there be other human lives? Why should they be really thrown back to the heavens and hungry ghosts and whatnot? Nobody's gone there and come back and told us about it. It's just conjecture. You're laughing, but I wanted to
No.
non-virtue or anything of the sort.
Yeah.
Like my Krishna says, everybody is anti-national, the Christians. I'm not saying that. I'm saying that it's wonderful to have a life which is good, helpful to others, virtuous.
Okay, it's a question. Okay, I get it. So a couple things, okay? First, and while I was laughing, I don't accept your statement that no one has gone there and come back to tell us about it. Okay? So in the texts, we see the story of Moggallana taking the Buddha's nephews to the hell realms, and showing them the suffering there, that they're going to be reborn there. We see other stories of people with medium levels of clairvoyance, being able to see pretas, here. There's a story, you saw a preta, like walking in the earth, on the world. Yeah. And I mean, yeah. Many other stories from Sutra, when even the Buddha, he's explaining the first time he generated great compassion. The Buddha said, when I was in the hell realm, the story of him pulling the cart. So anyway, there's many of these kind of stories in Sutra, and of course, why should we believe that? That's another question. But the fact is, there are other testimonies that are out there, and just as we say, okay, the Buddha first taught the Four Noble Truths in Sarna, or the Buddha was enlightened in Bodh Gaya, these things too. I mean, we accept the testimony of what's there in the traditional texts. Anyway, let's put that aside. And first thing is, I don't agree with you that no one has come and told us about it. Okay, we'll put that aside. Now, the other point you're making, why can't we just say, not talk about these other realms, just keep it all nice, what we can see, humans and animals. So, I agree, we can do that. There are contemporary teachers who, they don't talk about the hell realms or hungry ghosts as physical types of rebirth, but they talk about it more in the sense of psychological states. So again, remember what I was saying. The teaching is based on the needs of the individual. So I totally agree that there will be some individuals who it won't be most beneficial to teach them about the 6 realms of existence. Some, it might not even be beneficial to teach about rebirth. Temporarily. But, again, some, it's not even beneficial to teach about the profound view of emptiness. Some, it's better to teach the view that everything inherently exists. You understand? So, I'm not a Buddha. So, when I come, my job, you guys asked me to teach this text based on this commentary in this tradition. And here, you asked me to teach Shantideva's text. Shantideva, who, is pretty known as this great master, He's talking about the hell realms. And what am I going to do? Hey guys, you asked me to teach Shantideva text. This Shantideva guy. You know? By the way, Shantideva, who has like the ultimate praise from my own guru, the Dalai Lama, who said that everything he learned about Bodhicitta, he learned from this text. Okay? So now, what am I going to do? Right? What do you want me to do? Criticize Shantideva? Go against the Dalai Lama? No way. No way.
Does it avoid this? Is always this thought?
Okay. You see, again, His Holiness is a Buddha. So when he talks to different audiences, he'll say different things at different times. Right? So, you know, when he gives a public talk in New York City, you know, I'm not sure, but I would be pretty confident that, you know, when he gives an introductory talk to a Western audience, his first thing, he doesn't sit on the throne and start talking about hells and purpose and all this business. Right? Now, to another audience, I'm also equally sure he will teach about them. And especially, hey, boy, what do you even want the Dalai Lama to do if he comes across this stanza? Say Shantideva is wrong? No. Even when the Dalai Lama would be teaching this text, you teach in accordance with the text. Right? Do you understand? You understand? In general, okay, so let's make it very clear. In general, I agree that the teaching should reflect the needs of the student. And not all students would respond positively with these talks of different realms of existence. I agree with that. But there's other audiences that is the best thing. And by the way, this text that you've asked me to teach does refer to the hell realms and the guardians of hells, and in the first chapter it talks about pretas. So our good friend Lama Tsongkhapa, right? He talks about all those hell realms based on, the great text by Asanga, Vasubandhu, and all these things. So as part of, this lineage, well, you barely say I'm part of the lineage, but I'm not going to contradict these great masters. But when you teach in West Bengal in 3 years, then you should think about whether talking about the hell realms and preta realms is the most beneficial for that audience when it comes to time to teach. But if they ask you to teach Bodhisattvacharyāvatāra, you teach Bodhisattvacharyāvatāra. Okay? Yes?
So there's this line you said, I think probably the last two stanzas, the disturbing conceptions doesn't exist in your mind and hence can be abandoned.
Don't exist inherently. Inherently, okay, sorry, finish your question.
That's
Yeah.
it.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, they don't exist inherently. So it's like this. The more famous example is like a glass of dirty water, right? Where the pollutants in the water, they don't exist inherently in the water. Therefore, they are subject to causes and conditions. Therefore, through a process of purification, they can be removed. Similarly, the disturbing emotions, the afflictive emotions, do not exist intrinsically as part of the mind. Means like, like naturally, essentially part of the mind. If that were the case, they'd always be there. But it doesn't exist like that. They exist independent on causes and conditions. Because they depend on causes and conditions, if you remove those causes and conditions, right, the effect, their continuity can be severed. They can be abandoned. That's the point. Abani, you had a question?
Debates are very
Mm.
interesting.
Yeah. So, in the Tibetan tradition now, they have a. Do they debate in the Theravadan tradition?
Sorry?
Do they debate in the Theravadan tradition? Okay? Alright. So, what we see now in the Tibetan monasteries are very highly stylized and systematic way of debate with certain roles and ways of asking and answering and all that kind of the format is particular to the Tibetan tradition. Now, of course, even having a discussion where debate means trying to understand the meaning of the text, they'll do that. They'll discuss. They will try to analyze the meaning, and at a very kind of just basic level of what it means to debate, that would be considered debate. But they don't stand up and do the clapping and all this stuff. That's particular to Tibet. Now I will say, I will kind of paraphrase the Dalai Lama. You see, and again, this is not to criticize, but normally if you were to go to a lecture from a Theravada master, well, I don't know about most of it, but this can happen, where, even though, let's say, they talk about the Four Noble Truths, then they will quote something from a sutra. Right? But actually, Venerable Lexop was talking about this. Even to say the truth of the cause of suffering, truth of the origin of suffering, comes from ignorance. So he went to a conference and brought back. Then one of the Tibetan masters or scholars said, "How do you define ignorance? What do you mean by ignorance?" And then the person said, "Oh, I myself am so ignorant. How could I come up with a definition?" Then with more pressing, no, what do you mean? Then said something, I don't know, like told a story. If you go in a forest at twilight, or something like this, Whereas in our tradition, you can define terms like like logical pervasion and this, the characteristics, the divisions, all that. So what the Dalai Lama has said is, more than just going and saying, okay, this is the Four Noble Truths, this is, and then to identify like a sutra passage from the Pali Canon which talks about the truth of origins of suffering, to use reasoning to establish it. And this is something that's, I think, unique to, well, these days it's unique to the Tibetan tradition because, actually, Dharma Kirti, who you guys know and love, who wrote the Karmanavartika, the whole second chapter, which I think you've received teachings on, what is the name of that chapter? It's to establish the validity of the Buddha through reasoning. And the main thing is through reasoning to establish the Four Noble Truths. Not because the Buddha said, that Nirvana exists, not to just take his word for it, but through reasoning of power of analysis and the power of the facts, one can come to understand the Four Noble Truths, particularly truth of suffering, truth of causes of suffering, truth of cessation of suffering, truth of the path leading to cessation of suffering. Okay? And so that text by Dharma Kirti was translated into Tibetan. It wasn't translated into Chinese. So even the other, what we call, the other traditions that inherited the Mahayana canon, China and then Korea, Japan, the Dharma Kirti texts weren't translated there. So they didn't inherit this analysis. Even then. You understand? Okay.
But it also looked at the fact that the Theravada tradition relies heavily on the Pali text, while the Mahayana tradition draws its sources from the Nalanda tradition, which is Sanskrit.
Well, while that is true, that doesn't necessarily, logically pervade, because you could just, using the Pali Canon as your source, just ask, okay, can we define what ignorance is? They must have a view, right? Is the root of samsara, I can't remember, I use this example, right? What's the population of Nairobi, Kenya? I don't know. Okay? So you ask a Theravadan, my not knowing the population of Nairobi, Kenya, is that ignorance? Is that the root of samsara? And what do they say? So that even through just asking like this, right, they will have to kind of implicitly accept a definition, right? So it's not about Pali, Sanskrit. It's about,
For the practice in those universities, in Nalanda,
No, that's what I'm saying, right? But it doesn't matter, That's what I'm saying. I didn't study in Nalanda. Maybe no one's ever, if you never heard of Nalanda, if you just read a text and then, what I was saying, right? Conventional truth, conventional existence, and you're just a little bit more inquisitive. What do you actually mean by that? This is not a Nalanda or, Sanskrit Pali thing. It's your level, your standards for precision in how you define terms. And so what the Dalai Lama is saying, the advice he's giving to these Theravadins is, of course, if you look historically, yes, because in India there was all these debates that went on between the Buddhist schools and non-Buddhist schools, and it would be like you would debate it against the non-Buddhists, and whoever wins, all their followers then follow you. Okay, so the stakes were a lot higher, right? Whereas in some other places, they don't meet people from other traditions, and therefore the kind of this kind of fierceness of the debate maybe didn't exist. Okay, fine, historically, yeah, but nonetheless, remember, this is what Dalai Lama is saying. We need to become 21st century Buddhists. Means not just to say, okay, then, because Shantideva said so, because the Buddha said so, because this. Right? Okay. Due to all the merits accumulated on myself and others, in the past, the present, and the future, may all sentient beings, vast as the vastness of space, be instantly liberated from all the oceans of samsaric suffering and abide in peerless happiness of full life forever. Then, through all this merit, may the holy gurus who show the complete path to enlightenment, particularly His Holiness the Dalai Lama and Geshe, have long and stable lives. May their teachings, may their activities of teachings increase, and particularly may we be able to have the good fortune to receive extensive teachings from them, in this and all of our future lives until we're enlightened. Then through all the merits given to myself and others over 3 times, by myself and all numberless Buddhas, numberless sentient beings. We can say, just like Lama Tsongkhapa, may I be able to offer the most extensive benefits to all sentient beings in the teachings of the Buddha by having all the qualities of Lama Tsongkhapa within me. And do all the 3-time merit being the 7 members of the Bodhisattvas, all ordinary beings, numberless Buddhas, and numberless Buddhas. May there be no war, terrorist attacks, quarreling, natural disasters, poverty, famine, illness, disease, any undesirable thing in this or any of the world systems or the 10 directions from now until the end of samsara. Then through all the 3-time merit and 7 others, all numberless Buddhas, numberless sentient beings, may this precious mind of Bodhicitta, the altruistic wish to achieve enlightenment for the benefit of all sentient beings, arise and grow in my heart and the hearts of all sentient beings without the second's delay. And may the altruistic wish, the desire to generally increase. We also dedicate all the 3-time merit by ourselves and others for the flourishing of the Buddha Dharma. In particular, may all the centers and projects designed to promote and preserve the Buddha Dharma, particularly this Ling Center, have all the success, all the required conditions, and be most beneficial for sentient beings, being able to lead or help lead all sentient beings to enlightenment as quickly as possible. Then we dedicate for all the beings who are sick. May they quickly be free from all their ailments and abide in peerless, and in this very lifetime, be able to traverse the entire Mahayana path to complete enlightenment. And then all the beings who have recently passed away, including Kunal. May they be shown through the bardo by the 8 great Bodhisattvas to a pure land of Buddha where they can be enlightened. Or may they attain a Christian rebirth into the Mahayana teachings and attain enlightenment in their very next lifetime. Then lastly, due to the merit which exists as merely labeled by the mind therefore lacking true and inherent existence. May the I, who is merely labeled by the mind and therefore lacks true existence, attain the state of Guru Shakyamuni Buddha's enlightenment, which exists but lacks true existence, and thereby may lead all sentient beings who exist but not truly exist. I myself alone who exist again as a mere imputation of the mind, not truly, not in and of itself. Okay. It's important to dedicate. Yesterday we did a little bit brief, but today we do a little bit more. Ale. And may Indrani be instrumental in spreading the Buddha Dharma back in West Bengal. Alright? I say all of you. Right? Remember, in Lama Tsongkhapa's final landing prayer, with my heart going out, with great compassion, in whatever direction the precious teachings have not spread, or once spread and have declined, may I reveal this treasure of happiness and aid. Very nice.
She has started the devotees